I'm joined now by Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, Bashar Assad says that jihadists gassed his people or are claiming to do so to try to turn global sentiment against his regime. Now, what does the White House say to that?
Well, not just the White House, but I think the rest of the world community says that's not true. The meeting I had with the President today and with the National Security Advisors, a lot of it's classified, but there's no doubt that Assad used chemical weapons. It's not just us who are saying it. Iran has even said it, and others. So you've got a clear world view when they look at the report and when they look at the facts that, especially with the UN just coming back, I think it'll continue to build, that question will be answered.
Okay, so then why do lawmakers, if it's pretty clear that Assad did gas his own people, why do lawmakers and seemingly sub-Republicans need convincing? Now, I understand that they don't want a repeat of the Iraq war, but why do they need so much convincing in this case?
Well, it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats too. You know, I came back here on a red-eye this weekend to moderate the classified briefing with senators and congressional members, and it's Republicans and Democrats that are raising the issues, and rightfully so. Because if we move forward, the President had asked that he wants Congress and Senate to engage. He sent up a resolution. So we have to craft one. You want to make sure the objective and the goal is clear. You want to make sure that it's achievable. You also want to make sure that it is the right action, that it stabilizes the region, that the ramifications don't do something different. These are things, when you go into military action, you should not take lightly by any means, and I do not. And I don't rush to judgment on either side. So I try to get all the information possible, which I've been going through now, doing as well, and raising the questions and the concerns. And as we go into committee and we craft this resolution, we want to make sure it's concise, that this is not an Iraq or Afghanistan, that this achieves the goal and objectives of America, and what those are. And is it the best use to achieve those goals?
And Congressman,
those are questions that should be asked.
And yes. Congressman, the original Iraq War resolution in 2002, the original one was only about 3 pages long. Can you give me some idea as to what this resolution is looking like? Obviously, I know that Congress is not back until next Monday, September 9th, but I'm sure that you guys are in the process of crafting this resolution right now. What does that look like?
The President sent up a draft resolution, and today in the meeting he acknowledged that it will have to be changed, and he was very forthright, listening to the concerns on all sides in the House and the Senate. Our committee, the Senate, will take up in committee today, and even though the House or the Senate is not back, our Foreign Affairs Committee will take it up tomorrow. So we will start working on that. And what we'll have is we'll have the Secretary and others before the committee to talk about what are the goals and others, and the committee itself will work to start drafting that resolution to make sure it's concise, but that it has an objective, it has a goal, that's attainable, and it's within the mission of America and the world that can stabilize the region. You know, tens of thousands of people have died in the last 2 years in Syria. This is a place that you have found that it's implorable what have done to his people and the refugees that have left and made the entire region. I was just in Israel last month, and you could see from the border line what has gone on in Syria and the conflict that's going on there.
Now, Bashar Assad warns that U.S. action could start a regional war in the Middle East. That's obviously not something that we want here in the United States, and our list of allies is wearing a little bit thin. Now, I know that France is on board, but David Cameron and Great Britain are not, and other than that, we have Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Why do we have so few allies at this point, including China and Russia?
Well, those are some of the concerns that we have brought up today and before, and those are some of the things that will work forward, that I, for one, don't want to see America, if they were to go alone. These are some concerns that I have brought up. You've had more than 100 countries sign the treaty when it came to chemical weapons, so why aren't they engaged? Russia has a different relationship with Syria. They are ones that sell the majority of their weaponry to Syria, and they have one that have blocked us inside the UN. So, but when you look around the world, there are others that have raised the issue. That's something that we want to see to be able to build. Those are some of the questions that we'll ask in committee of the Secretary, some of the concerns that we have raised today. But as we progress, I think you'll see other countries join with America, and that would give a greater strength as you went through of the goal and the mission that you would be able to obtain it.
Okay, now the president is obviously not running for re-election again. He doesn't really need congressional approval here. According to the 1973 War Powers Act, the president is allowed to launch military action as long as he notifies Congress within 48 hours. Why is he seeking the approval?
I think what the president said, and he talked about it today as well, he's looking for what's going on in the world for the next 2-3 years. He said he did not want to push the envelope when it came to the constitutionality for the process, and I respect that. And I think a lot of members of Congress requested this action as well, to have input from Congress and the Senate. And I think the president is abiding by those wishes, that he wants to see others. And I think you'll have something much stronger in a resolution in support from a perspective of where you go in whatever the final decision is made by Congress.
Okay, let's talk about boots on the ground for a moment. If the U.S. does attack, they don't plan on using U.S. ground troops, correct?
The president said there will be no boots on the ground, and that's within the resolution. I think people will look to that and see what is crafted within that.
And then I've also got to ask about the possibility of civilian casualties in Syria. What does that look like?
Well, you know, right now what's happening in Syria, there is a civil war, and there's tens of thousands that are dying on all sides. It's something that whatever America decides to do, they would weigh their option, that they would try to limit or take away from any civilian casualties that they can. Our military is very, very good when it comes to, but you have Assad who is poisoning his own people. It wouldn't be far from, if an action was taken, that he would try to blame something else. But whatever action is taken, I know the military, just as they've done anywhere within America, that anytime we're in action, we try to avoid any civilian casualties at any time.
Okay, and what about duration? How long will this last should we attack?
You know, the military, one thing I would never want Congress to do, and I have not made my mind up on this, though, I don't want to tell Congress to tell the military how to do their job. I want to set out an objective and a goal, and I want to be able to, at that case, make sure if the military can achieve that objective and goal, and they would determine what it took to do that.